Good morning. We're going to be talking about stem cells today. Everybody's favorite thing. What makes us? The human body is made up of 1 trillion cells, yet you start off with only one cell. When the sperm and the egg combine, they create one new cell known as a embryo. From 1 to 100 trillion. All multicellular organisms start off as just one cell. Cells must undergo differentiation where they turn into different specialized cells, like nose cells, ear cells, hair cells, fingernail cells. Yet all the cells in your body contain the exact same DNA. So it's kind of like the same blueprint for everything. But how are skin and hair cells different? We're going to find out. And that is because of differentiation. What is differentiation? When a cell becomes a special cell type. Once cells differentiate, they generally cannot go back and become other types of cells. Now, you're kind of wondering, what controls this? What allows this to happen? Well, there's some wacky chemicals released by the human body that allow this to happen. And depending on the location of the cells and when these wacky chemicals get there, they change into different things. So, what is a stem cell? A stem cell is a cell that can continuously divide and differentiate or change and develop into various other kinds of cells and tissue. So, a muscle cell, a heart cell, and bone cells, those are all really different types of cells, but they all start off as stem cells. So I like to think of Play Doh. So when you were in preschool, you used to make some of that bootleg homemade Play Doh, and you'd mix like some flour, some water, some salt, and cream of tartar, and you make your own Play Doh. But it was kind of like white and gray. But when you really wanted to get good stuff, you put some food coloring in so you get the red Play Doh. And then your mom might say, "Ooh, we got some green." So you get some green Play Doh. And then you mix those together and then you get some wacky purple Play Doh. So you are differentiating your type of Play Doh. So your body does the same thing. It all starts off with these stem cells, and then it gives, with chemicals, you might get muscle cells, then you might get your heart cells, and then bone cells. So this all starts off in the embryo when an egg is fertilized. Start off as one cell, and then that cell starts to divide again and again and again and again. So it goes from one cell to two, two to four, four to eight, eight to 16, 16 to 32, 32 to 64, 64 to 128, 128, 256, 256 to 512, 512 to 1024, and so on and so on. Pretty cool. And after about 5 to 7 days, we start getting what's called differentiation. And that's first what's going to happen is this little ball of cells, this is going to be called the inner cell mass, and the outer part, which is going to become the amniotic sac, this little circle, that's going to become you. And that sac, that's what you're going to grow in your mommy for 9 months. And then all these stem cells, they start getting different jobs as you start to develop. So you start getting your brain cells, your eye cells, your brain cells, your muscle cells, so on and so on. Stem cells, what do they do? One, they differentiate cells. Their job is to become special cells when needed. They can grow continuously when they're given enough food and they grow in a stem line. Number 3, they can be changed using chemicals to become different types of cells. So this is a kind of a joke. They told me I could be anything I wanted, so I did. So it's kind of like a cell, and when you give it a certain chemical, it can turn into the cell that's needed. So, where do we first get them? Embryonic stem cells. Embryonic stem cells, or ESC, these are stem cells that come from fertilized eggs left over from in vitro fertilization, or known as IVF. We're going to get to that pretty soon. These are collected from the inner cell mass, that little ball of cells when they start to differentiate. and they can be grown in a culture, and researchers can manipulate or change them to do different things. Adult stem cells. Both children and adults have them in specific areas, otherwise known as niches. The cells differentiate and divide when needed. So these can be found in the human body in bone marrow, brain, and muscle. Those are just a few of the examples. Generally, cells found in these tissues where stem cells are found. Now, we don't really have a lot of them, and that's why we're kind of trying to learn more about them. The goal of stem cell research. So the goal, scientists are researching ways to use stem cells to replace parts of your body with copies of those parts. This is called regenerative medicine. Why they are useful. Research. Stem cell research helps us understand how living things work and what happens in different types of cells during disease. And then there's therapy. Stem cells can replace lost or damaged cells that our bodies can't replace naturally. Scientists are researching ways to use stem cells to replace parts of your body with copies of these parts. This is called regenerative medicine. So if you accidentally got into a car accident and maybe lost part of your leg, we're hoping through stem cell research, we'd be able to regrow part of your leg and then put that on you, and it would be like all brand new. And that's it